very grateful for your kindness, your protection, your mercies, your blessings. I'm thankful for life and the abundance in which you've given to us. I'm thankful for your grace and strengthening us and bringing us all to be able to gather together in this moment, Lord. We ask for the forgiveness of whatever sins that may be an hindrance to your presence being in our midst. Like, this is where people are gathered, your presence is here, and there's nothing that we can decide to start or go about that can be successful without you in it, Lord. And so we ask that you come into our midst, committing this program into your holy hands, that we shall all listen, understand, and learn. And not just learn for our personal benefits, but learn for us and the people around us to be able to carry these activities and this new knowledge into practice, Lord. That's for the grace that people online as well, they shall be able to be greatly impacted, and that hopefully by your grace, the next one will not be much of an issue to the great knowledge that we're going to receive today. Pray for the people who have made time, sacrifice to be here today, to be able to share one or two things with us, to continue with them, to protect them, and to grant them the grace to be all right while they're talking and their endeavors. First that by your grace shall have cause to glorify your name. In Jesus' name we pray.
Shall we rise as we take the national anthem? Shall we take the Bangkok?
That was the Sergeant at Arms of Usa Madu Toma. So we'll be moving on to the introduction of the platform members, and I'm going to be calling on the General Secretary of USA to take this. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anna Shode, General Secretary of USA. So now I'll be introducing the platform members for this symposium. One advice is that we should all be open to learn because I'm sure that they're here to drop valid points concerning this symposium. So first, I'll be introducing Professor Mobolanle Shutisa, who is the Director of Babcock University Center for Open Distance and E-Learning. Please round of applause. Next on my list, I'll be calling Dr. Akanimo Odion, the symposium facilitator. Now, Dr. Sheon Ibisua, PUSA sponsor and director, students, industrial work experience. Mr. Felix, who are BU chapter alumni president. Mr. Christian, the president of Babcock University Student Association. Then I'll be recognizing the presence of Mr. Damilare Akim, who is the vice president of the alumni chapter. Now that we have our platform members, we will not want to waste our time anymore, and we are going to having the opening remarks by Professor Mobolanle Shutisa. Ma.
I'm used to saying greatest lights because that's where I predict. And so, greatest backup. That's so class. Or is that not what you say? Greatest backup. You people don't have ginger. You don't have garlic. I beg. Don't fall my hands now. Greatest backup. Some protocols needs to be observed, so I will still go through the protocols. The President, Vice Chancellor of Babcock University, in absentia, the Senior Vice President, and Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, and all principal officers of Babcock University here present. Some are present virtually. Other deans, directors, heads of departments, professors, the distinguished facilitator of the day, Dr. Odon Akanimo, the sponsor, BUSA, Dr. Sheon Ebisua, the president, Babcock University Students Association, BUSA, all the members of the executive of BUSA here present, students of Babcock University, ladies and gentlemen, it is with utmost pleasure and great enthusiasm that I welcome you, both physical and virtual participants, to this august occasion. This program is unique in many ways, and I'm sure many of you are wondering, what is the Babcock University Open Distance and E-Learning doing with this program? Very shortly, you would know. This program, I said, is unique in many ways because it is one of the very first trainings that Bukodel, the Babcock University Center for Open Distance and E-Learning, is called Bukodel. So this is one of the very first training that Bukodel will organize after gaining approval status with the NUC. What does that mean? Yes, please give a round of applause to that person. that is actually a milestone, because Babcock University is the 13th university in Nigeria that will have what is called a dual mode status. By having approval to run open distance and e-learning, we are turning from a single mode university that teaches only face-to-face to a dual mode university that will be offering programs to people via the open distance and e-learning mode. As many of you may be aware, and some may not be aware, I'm happy to inform you that Bukodel is hitting the ground running. And from this month, we are beginning with the BSc accounting program, which is also a 4-year program, here the ODL mode, that allows people to access education from their comfort zone, wherever they are, and they have the same degree as you on the face-to-face mode would have. They would also have access to outstanding learner support because they are not here on campus. Okay, they will have access to learner support services that will make their learning exciting, valuable, and successful. So please, if you are curious, and you should rightly be curious, feel free to visit the Babcock website and the Bukodel website. If you type Bukodel, you should be able to get it for more information. And please feel free anytime to come over to this center to find out what we are doing, how we are doing it. I know that you are already Babcock students, but you will have people who this information will add value to their lives and will transform their lives. So this program is bringing together 3 units. The Babcock University Students Association, BUSA. It is also bringing together the Babcock University Alumni Association, the BU chapter of the Alumni Association, and of course, the center in a collaborative effort to equip students of Babcock University, as well as the general public with competencies for employability and career progression, especially in a new era, that will position all participants and the university in the most advantageous position to create impact, to create value, and to launch into industry and labor collaborations. Now, I first met Dr. Akademo Odon over 5 years ago in Abuja during an NUC University Commission's capacity building for e-learning. And he has been very strategic in supporting us to attain what we have attained today. Now, I was enthused with Dr. Akademo's innovative ideas, his irrepressible enthusiasm, his practical propositions, and his dynamism, his zeal, his unbeatable passion for students' employability. He's always talking about how students can position themselves so that they don't have to look for a job. A job should be chasing them, not simply looking for them. And so I determined that I needed to tap into the resource of our facilitator for today, and he has graciously accepted to carry out this training free of charge for Babcock University. That I personally know in a minimum of 10 universities in Nigeria and much more all over Africa, and it is paid for 20,000, 25,000 per head, and it has graciously allowed us to have access free of charge. I think it deserves a round of access. So I must thank everybody, particularly the BU alumni Babcock University chapter. When I muted the idea, they embraced it. I said to them, it is good for the alumni to also collaborate with the students who are their potential members. And they actually have taken up this opportunity. And I'm sure there will be more collaborations between BUSA presidents and succeeding presidents and BU alumni presidents and succeeding presidents. So please keep the collaboration. That's why we seated you together. Ladies and gentlemen, the proof of the pudding is in its taste. I welcome you to a very exciting, memorable, impactful, and paradigm shift experience as we journey with Dr. Afanimo in this epoch-making training on employability and career progression in a new era. You are all welcome.
I think we can do better than that. Thank you very much. I'll be doing my own thinking now because I think I'm going to applaud myself for being one of the first students to anchor a program in bookholding. So we are going to be moving quickly to the pep talk by Mr. Felix Upeoha. Please come forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. The school management, especially the vice president, the vice chancellor, Professor Tayo, and our invited guest, the facilitator, Dr. Akanimo Odion, the director for EU Code e-learning, Professor Mobolale Shotisa, the BUSA sponsor, Dr. Shemu Iswa, the BUSA president, Udo Christian, Ume Christian, the BUSA executive. I also want to acknowledge our General Secretary, Dr. Oloyede Fumilayo. She's also here. That is for alumni, local chapter, General Secretary. And everyone, we were excited when we are being called to be part of this program. Yeah, because there's a need for us to create a synergy, between BUSA and the alumni. Because you, especially those of you who are in a final year now, and all students in Bangkok University, you are all potential alumni, and we call you dependent alumni. And it's for us to catch you now. You are on campus, and why we got interested in this program is because, just permit me to do this. Why we are interested in this program is because as alumni association, we have ways we look at giving back, connectivity, and networking. Now, we know that soon, some of us, even while you're on campus, we the alumni, we are encouraging you to tell your friends, your colleagues, your family members that Bangkok University is the best place to study. And the school, just like has been said by the director, we have several programs, the open distance learning that we are presently here now. We have the PG school and the undergraduate program which you are on. We also encourage you, because by so doing, we are branding our alma mater. You are giving back to your alma mater. And also when you get out there, that's why this program has been packaged employability, for you to get the best of employment when you are through with your program here. And I will tell you that the facilitator of today, I listened to the first program in the morning. It's one of the best programs I've ever had. So can we give him applause? Very, very informative and brief. So we also advise you when you look back up, don't just pay the due and leave. Back up, alumni due and leave. When you get there, look for a local chapter wherever you are going to find yourself, whether Lagos or outside the country. We have local chapters all over. And belong to and be active, not just to belong, be active. Today's world is being driven by collaboration, networking, connectivity. That's what today's world is all about. So if you want to be an island, you may not be able to succeed in whatever you do. And we are also encouraging you when you get out there, and you have gotten the best of the opportunities, you are going to get there because we are praying for you. Come back and give back to your alma mater. And that is what this program is all about. It's my prayer that God will bless us as we listen and we plan, to get that best opportunity that is awaiting us here in Jesus' name.
Thank you very much, Mr. Felix. You notice that when Professor Schutzer was giving our opening remarks, she said a lot of things about our facilitators. So I'll be calling on our sponsor, Dr. Sheikh Ebiswa, to give us our facilitators citation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Public Relations Officer, Babcock University Students Association, the President Vice Chancellor of Babcock University in Assumption, all other principal officers of the university, the Director, Bukodel, Professor Mobolanle Ashotusa, Deputy Director Academics, Professor Adekule Pinuyo, the BUSA President, Mr. Ome Christian, the BU Alumni President for the chapter, Mr. Felix Ikwewa, and then, of course, a distinguished facilitator. So my assignment is very brief. I will be giving us the citation of our most esteemed guest. Dr. Akanimo Odion holds a master's degree in environmental rehabilitation, as well as a PhD in environmental management from Lancaster University, United Kingdom. And he also has business and enterprise certifications, as well as fellowships from Cambridge University, United Kingdom, as well as Stanford University, United States of America, as well as Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, USA. He specializes in cross-border education and innovations in research, and is an expert in navigating, developing, and managing relationships between academia, government, and industry in Africa for economic viability, research impact, and student employability. He has been Africa's strategy advisor for Aberystwyth University, as well as University of Strathclyde, University of East Anglia, and currently he is the African Regional Advisor for the University of London. He's the Africa Advisor for Lancaster University and the Africa Director for Zurich Elite Business School, Switzerland. He recently founded FlexiLearn, a one-stop online shop for distance learning provision for Africa. He's principal consultant of EnviroFly Consultant United Kingdom and the founder of Lancaster International, which is an international outreach school focused on supporting primary and secondary schools in Africa. In the United Kingdom, he has been an advisor to the British government on developing international education policies under the National Student Forum. He is an education consultant for the British Council. He is the business development consultant for the Grow Creative Scheme under the European Regional Development Fund. He's a local content consultant to City and Guilds, United Kingdom. In Africa, he has been strategic consultant for the National Center for Energy and Environment under the Energy Commission of the Presidency of Nigeria. He's a technical advisor for the Lagos State Ministry of Environment, as well as non-resident research fellow of the African Center for Technological Studies, Kenya. He's an advisor for Africa Center of energy policy in Ghana. I think it deserves a round of applause. Yes, an advisor for Africa Center of Energy Policy in Ghana, consultant for Trust Africa Senegal, reviewing capacity building policies in Nigeria, Mali, Botswana, Ethiopia, Ghana, Gabon, and Egypt. Advisor to the National Social Security Fund, Tanzania, local content consultant to the African Development Bank, and also consulted for the Nigeria Liquefied Natural Gas on capacity building. In the last 10 years, Dr. Odion has organized and facilitated over 50 Africa-focused international workshops and conferences. Lions have collaborated with government, industries, and academia in over 30 African countries, developed over 100 strategic educational, research, and commercial partnerships between the United Kingdom and African organizations, facilitated and supported the setting up of over 30 African-focused small and medium-scale enterprises, designed and implemented over 40 strategic capacity building and knowledge transfer schemes, delivered innovative research impact and management training to over 1,000 African researchers, and mentored over 500 young African entrepreneurs under the XN Foundation. Dr. Akanimo Odion is also the creator of one of the most comprehensive United Kingdom CPD certified suite of online career programs in Africa. He's a recipient of multiple international research grants. Please, ladies and gentlemen, shall we rise on our feet as I welcome most humbly to take the stage distinguished facilitator for the day.
The first thing I want to say is, if your friend is not here, the person is missing, and you discover in it. So if I were you right now, send a text message to a friend you dearly love, because I can assure you at the end of the session, you would regret what they're doing. What you're about to hear, you probably haven't heard before. So you better buckle your seatbelt because you're about to go on the ride. Okay. So my name is Aka, and I do this an awful lot. I love doing this. In my job, I travel a lot. I cover over 30 countries in Africa. Okay? And part of what I love the most is speaking to students. Because I was once a student. As a matter of fact, I am still a student. Okay? Not in the context you're thinking about. I want to give you a story, if I may. So, a couple of years ago, that's before COVID, about 2-3 years ago, I was addressing a room of final year students just to try to let me get a feel for the room. So if you are in your final year, can I see my show hands? Okay, you're mostly in your final year, or even better. So if you're in your year 3, penultimate final year and below, can I see my show hands? Any year 1 student here? Probably not. That's fine. So I think I'm speaking to important people. You're about to be unleashed to the world. The world is waiting for you. So I happen to be addressing a room of final year students in a Nigerian university. I won't tell you which university. And midway in the conversation, I started asking a few questions. I said, so how many of you are doing a course you don't like very much? So bear in mind, these are final year students. And over 60% or more of their hands went up. You know, we have a problem. So they spent 4 years doing a course they absolutely hate. Okay? So I said, how many of you are doing a course that, I mean, even though you don't like it so much, but you've come to live with it anyway. Because after all, you've gone through 4 years of this. And about half of their hands went up. And I asked the real crucial question. I said, how many of you have an idea or a sense of what you might want to do when you graduate? In a room of about 200 students, only 5 hands went up. We have a problem. Now, that was a public university. Okay? Now, I want to ask the question again. I think I have an idea of what the response would be, but let me surprise me. Okay? The chances are, if you are paying high fees, which I think compared to other universities, but because students do pay, it would make sense that you are doing a course you kind of like. Am I correct? So let's test it. So how many of you are doing a course you like? Show of hands. Okay, so I'll reverse it. How many of you are doing a course you don't like? Show of hands. And be very open and honest about it. Nobody. So that's a good starting point. That's good. So I ask a follow-up question. How many of you have an idea of exactly what you want to do when you graduate? Show of hands. That's fantastic. This is very encouraging. Okay? How many of you don't have a clear idea of what you want to do when you graduate? And it's okay if you don't, that's fine. Show of hands. You can put your hands down. Okay, I'm going to ask you another question that will surprise you. So listen very carefully. I'm being very open. So how many of you have something you absolutely love, but it has no business with what you're studying? Show of hands. Exciting. And this is where it gets really cool. So look, put your hands up. I want to make it very clear. How many of you have something you absolutely love doing, but it's got no business or link with what you're studying? Okay, put your hands down. Now watch my next question. Next question is, how many of you have spent some time and resources, probably even going to the department that is closest to that thing you absolutely love doing, but it has no link with your course of study? Show of hands. So the numbers of hands have reduced. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so you are probably wondering what happens, right? To become clear in a minute. So hear me and hear me well. I took JAM. My YA was good. I had 9 A's. Okay? Then I took JAM. I went to study medicine. My dad liked the idea of his son being called doctor. It sounds nice to hear. And so I took JAM. And obviously, to get into medicine, back in the day, I sound very old now. Can you guess how old I am? Huh? So to give you an idea, my daughter is 12. Okay? So how old? 45. Oh, like Bisha. Okay. So anyway, so I wanted to study medicine. Yeah, my dad liked the idea of studying medicine. I had great wide results. Then I took JAM and I scored 204. Okay. Now you and I know that is ridiculously low, right? Even for me, you have to beg me. So I said that's fine. So I was given a course they call zoology. We studied animals. Okay. It's one of those courses they used to call leprosy courses back in the day. You know what leprosy courses? It's a course when you are with your friends and somebody asks you, what course are you studying? You say zoology. You can't say it fully because no, it's not the in course. Zoology. Okay, so I got into zoology anyway. And I remember telling myself, I'm going to take JAM again after my first year. So I blasted my first results, fantastic. Then I took JAM again, second time, in the first year of my Benin University of Benin. Can you guess what I scored in my second JAM? JAM me. I can tell you JAM me. Well, so I had 204 in my first JAM, second JAM I had 205. And I had 1 point. I tried now. I had 1 point above what my first JAM was. It wasn't easy. 1 point extra. So at that point, I knew even if heaven came down, I can't enter medicine. It was very, very clear, you know. And I remember waking up one morning and told myself, my goodness, I'm in this course anyway. So unlike you guys, where you are, in some sense, I think over 80% of you are doing a course to love. I think you also have some sense of what you might want to do. But I'll tell you what the disconnect is. So just hear my story. It's important you listen. So I said, well, I'm studying zoology anyway. Then I remember I woke up one morning and said, so there hadn't been a first class in zoology at the University of Benin for over 7 years. So I told myself, well, if I'm going to stay in this department, I better be the best at it. So anyway, I'm in the first class in zoology, University of Benin, and I graduated in the year 2002. I see this lady's eyes. She's doing calculation in her head. That was I in primary or secondary school? 2002. She's calculating in her mind. Was I in 2002? I finished University of Benin, the first class in zoology, 2002. Okay. But what's interesting though? In the first year, and I'm saying this because it's easier for you to understand what I'm trying to lay across. So follow me. I remember walking to the department or into my class. I think it was in my year 2. And I thought, I wonder what jobs are for zoologists. Okay. And obviously the common one is you work in a zoo. So I think I made some inquiries and I realized that there were only 2 zoos in Nigeria. And someone told me that in one of the zoos, the lion is hungry. So I knew I had no hope. When I walked into my class, I think about 60 persons in the class at the time. I followed me. I remember I was saying to myself, so I have to compete with these 50 people for the job opportunities in these 2 zoos in the country. I better blast all of them so I'm in the front of the line. That was how naive I was. And that's true. Okay? So anyway, in the second year of my zoology, there was a particular course called environmental management. There was it's a little module within the department. You know, most of you have many modules as you progress from year 1 up to your final year. So there was a lecturer in the department who caught my interest. And he caught my interest because he was always dressing crisp. You see how crisp I look? Even if you don't agree with me, I know I'm looking crisp. That's your business. Okay? So this guy was always dressing, he was a lecturer, he was always crisp, like his smart tie, his shoe was pointed. For some reason, when people are crisp, the shoes are always pointed. I think it's direction to money. So anyway, it caught my interest. It caught my interest even more because in the department, there were other lecturers who were not looking crisp. You know what I mean? And you know them. And I know you talk about them amongst yourselves. If you say it's a lie, you're lying. You don't know lecturers, you just say that lecturer is Chris. That one you get as a B. Okay? So it got my interest. I said, how come this guy in the same department of zoology is having flashy cars? Is he in the same zoology? Does he work in the zoo? Apparently not. So I needed to catch his attention. So what did I do? A great way. Who can tell me the best way to catch a lecturer's attention? Who can tell me the best way to catch a lecturer's attention? Blast his course. So I blasted his course. I had the only A in the whole department. So he caught his interest. So anyway, I got close to him. I remember I got into a chat. I was like, Doc, how come you are always looking flashy? What's going on? Are you just only lecturing? Is it the lecturing job? And he told me that he was a consultant to oil and gas companies. I'm like, I don't understand. How was the link between zoology and a consultant to oil and gas companies? No, he said he studies the impact of oil organisms or oil on soil organisms, environmental impact assessment. That caught my interest. Do you believe it was the first time in my life that I discovered there's a potential pathway for a career in zoology? It was the day I decided to follow the route of an environmentalist from my year 2, which is the reason why my master's degree was in environmental rehabilitation and my PhD was in environmental management. I finished my PhD quite young. I was 26 when I finished my PhD. It's a long time ago. It feels like a long time ago. But that was a spark. So if I asked you and I said, how many of you have clearly an idea of what you want to do with it? Do you know specifically which career pathways are within your course of study? Do you know? That's a very, very important thing. If you don't have a pen and paper, I think you're making a mistake because I will start giving you bullet points of specific next steps to take. Thank you. Good. So, specific things to do. So, the first thing is that some sense of clarity. Now, let's go into the nitty-gritty of specific action points. Okay? How many of you in this room have got a CV? It's my show of hands. How many of you have a CV? Don't raise up your hands just because you don't want to be the person that raises up your hands. So, how many of you got a CV? Put your hands down. And can you give me a sense of if your CV is 3 pages and above? Can I see my show of hands? I would have been shocked if there was anybody in the room who had a 3-page CV. So your CV is like 1 page, 2 pages, I would imagine. That makes sense because by the time you write your name, your date of birth, your personal details, your education at this point in secondary school and university, What else is there to write? Your address. I know some students who just in an attempt to increase the length of the CV, they write their mother's name, their local government, how they navigated, when they were born, and so on. I saw a CV one day, and the gentleman put a big picture of himself, and it was almost half a page. The picture of the CV. Why do you have to do all of that? Now let me give you a feeling of what a CV is. Okay? You know the reason why your CV is less than 2 pages. There's a reason why it is, and I'll tell you in a minute. But let me tell you this with a story, true story. So fine. Obviously, I finished my first degree. I got a scholarship to do my master's in the UK. I was finishing my master's degree. I got another part funding to do my PhD. So it was back to back to back. I didn't have any break in between. If I remember, I was writing, I was doing my master's thesis in the first year of my PhD. There was an overlap. So I didn't really do any work. So basically, from first degree, bachelor's degree, I only did youth service. Yeah. From youth service, what happened? I got straight to my master's, PhD. For my master's, I didn't even finish the master's. I got to the PhD. But I'm taking a very important story that leads back to CV. So follow me. So in the final year of my PhD, my supervisor in the UK went to I think for his holiday. Follow me. And he met the vice president of British Gas, BG Group. At the time, BG, one of the biggest oil and gas firms, was setting up an office in Nigeria, like a massive office. So he was asking my supervisor, do you know any smart young Nigerians? Because we were employed at the moment. So my supervisor came back to Lancaster, where I lived, did my PhD, and said, oh, I met this vice president of the company. Can you send him can you reach out to him? So I did. Don't forget, I haven't finished the PhD yet. I was still in the final year of my PhD, just writing up. So I sent him an email, and this vice president invited me to the head office in Reading, in the UK. So I remember getting dressed, got on the train, and I went to this place. Listen very carefully, it's very important. So I got to Reading, and they invited me in for a meeting. But I hadn't prepared anything. What seemed as a meeting quickly became like a job interview. I'm like, so they're asking me, this job, what will it be like? I remember at the point they asked me, because they hadn't planned it, they asked me, so what do you think this job should be called? So I gave some ideas. At the end of the day, we settled at local content advice for BG Group. Are you following me? So we had a really good meeting, it was amazing. And then I went back home. So this is what the real story. A week later, a lady from the company rang me. Okay, and she ran to tell me what my salary was, because we had discussed this after the meeting. It was so urgent. So she was on the phone. She said that, oh, we've agreed what your salary would be for the role. And your salary would be, are you ready, guys? Your salary would be even the people that were sleeping, their eyes are open right now. Your salary would be, I'm teasing you, gone. I was offered £500 a day. Wow. I want to clap properly. So, very true. I was offered £500 a day. I am sure I collapsed, died, went to heaven, and told God, I love you, but I have to come back and enjoy this. And I saw somebody got his calculator. That brother is his calculator. He's calculating how much it is in Naira per day. Okay? That's very true, actually. It's a true story. I was offered £500 a day. Don't ask me how much my salary is now per day. Because that's a long time ago. Don't ask me now, because that's almost ridiculous. But there's something I haven't told you guys yet. The question is, why would a top international company, follow me, okay, offer a student who hadn't even finished the PhD the job of a consultant with a salary of £500 a day. Does that make sense? No, that doesn't make sense. There is no justification for an international company to offer a student who, like I told you, notice, I just went back to back from my first degree to my master's to my PhD. So if you look at my CV, you can't say I worked. So why are they offering me the job that is tantamount to a top consultant? It's the reason why. Do you want to know the reason why? It goes back to the first question I asked about your CV. What I haven't told you guys is this. Before he invited me to come to the head office, he asked for my CV. At the time, I sent my CV to him, and listen to me very carefully. My CV was 7 pages. I'll say it again. The time I sent him my CV, which was the reason why he invited me to the head office for this meeting, my CV at the time was 7 pages. Do you want to know how long my CV is now?
Yes.
You want to know? It's a very easy way to know. Everybody bring out your phones. Just bring. I'll tell you what to do. Everybody bring out your phone. I imagine you are all on LinkedIn. So everybody go to my LinkedIn page. Dr. Akanimo Odon on LinkedIn. Akanimo Alpha Kilo Alpha is AKA NIMO. Got it? It's AKA NIMO. Akanimo Odon. ODON. So Dr. Akanimo Odon. Found me on LinkedIn? So I apologize, you can't connect with me. I'm oversubscribed, so you can only follow me. Okay? So you can follow me, but my point is this: just scroll through my profile. It might take you 5 minutes to reach the end. It's that long. That gives you an idea of what I mean. So currently, my CV is about 35 pages. Look at me. Don't worry, you go back to LinkedIn. So just follow me on LinkedIn because you'll enjoy many things from following me on LinkedIn. But my point is this. My CV then was 7 pages. My CV now is 5 pages. If you are a smart student, there is only one question you should be asking me about now. Let me see who is really following in the room. There's only one singular question your mind should be wondering at this point. Who is the person? Let me see who is following. Yes. Can we clap for this lady, please? Because of your line.
I said, how did you get on 7 pages?
That is the question you ask. How did you have a 7-page CV when you've only, like all of us, just done a degree? That makes no sense. Therein lies the strategy you listen and listen well. I wrote a book a few years ago. It's called The Graduate Code. The Graduate Code. Okay, don't worry. I'm giving everybody the book free. So the book has already been preloaded on a free mobile app that I'm launching right away. And on the mobile app is the most comprehensive career mobile app you will ever see. Have left Doc the link to download the app. Currently, it's on Android phones, but by the end of the month, it's available on Apple Store and iPhones. But after the meeting, I think he has a way to get the link to all the students on campus to download the app. It's free of charge. And the book is already preloaded on the app. But the premise to the book is this, and hear me well. In every professional is a student wanting to learn. And in every student is a professional waiting to earn. I'll say it again. In every professional is a student wanting to learn. And in every student is a professional waiting to earn. It means, therefore, that the most successful students after graduation, believe it or not, friends, are students who begin to act like professionals while they're and the most successful professionals are professionals who act like students, always learning, even after they've left school. They are the most successful because they are always on the go. They know the newest things happening in their career. They are up to breast. They act like students. It's why I told you that even though I'm an executive professional, I am still a student. There's a disconnect between students and professionals. And the trouble is, you would think that your professional life begins after you've graduated. That's the biggest mistake most of you make. As a matter of fact, your professional life should begin while you're a student. Let me paint you a picture. In your year one, imagine you wrote your CV in year one. The chances are you write half a page and you're stuck because there's nothing else to write. Am I correct? It means that if you didn't do anything else for 3 years and you graduated, when it's time to write the CV, how many pages will it be? It will still be half a page. You can't manufacture things. But the beautiful thing about doing that from very early is at least you know you've got 3 years to fill it up. So if you're listening to me right now, you've got less than 1 year to mark up your CV. And I'll tell you how to do it. Because it's a very complicated one out there. It's done with your you guys know that. Hello? Are you hearing me? So that means you have to be intentional in populating your CV. And what's even interesting is the fact that your CV is a physical representation of your capacity and your capability. So if you think a CV is because you're looking for work, with a mistake. If I was speaking to professionals, I'll tell them it's a mistake they make because they've gotten a job for 5 years. I say, when last did you look at your CV? Say, why do I need to look at my CV? I'm not looking for a job. Big mistake. Your CV is you in a text. Are you following me? So, your CV. Let's break it down a bit. It is better, follow me. It is better to have a 2-page CV. Because many people ask me, but Doc, when you go and apply for a job, people normally ask you to just make it 2 pages. Is that correct? Most jobs will say, don't send me a 9-page CV. Just make it 2 pages, sharp and snappy. But the trouble is this. I can tell a CV that the person is making up stories just to get it to 2 pages. I can also tell a CV that a person has so many things to write that is struggling to contain it in 2 pages. So I tell people, it is better to have a 2-page CV that has been condensed from a 7-page content than to have a 2-page CV that you have had to expand from a half-page content. Is that clear? I'll say it again. It is better to have a 2-page CV that has been condensed or summarized from a 7-page content than to have a 2-page CV that has been expanded from a half-page content. It means that your focus should be on the content of a CV. Follow me. Follow me. Yeah? Are you here? Good. So now, how do we get into nitty-gritty? So specific action points. So if you are in the room and you don't have a CV, you need to write one from tonight. Hello? Action point 1. Write and update your CV. That's not negotiable. Okay? Now let's talk about populating those CVs. This is where it gets exciting. So generally speaking, yeah, we talk about, let's speak about hobbies and interests. I asked you earlier, I said, so in some sense, there is something you love doing, right? Something you absolutely love. This lady is smiling. What is it? What is it you love doing? Can you tell everybody? What you love, absolutely love doing? Pardon? Fashion design. But what course are you studying? Computer science. So, what's the name? Stephanie loves fashion design, but she's studying computer science. Let's try somebody else. Yes, you boss. What is it you love doing that has no link with your course of study? What do you love doing? You love graphic design. What's your course of study? Pardon? That's another interesting one. So this brother loves graphic design, but he's doing medicine. Hello, people. Hello. Except he's designing the new teeth. I have no understanding of the link. It makes no sense, the link. So my case was this. I was studying zoology, but in my year one, University of Benin, I knew I loved writing. Because writing words come easy to me. Something I love doing. I will write a piece. And so it's like when you aspire and perspire, you don't know this, right? So it's still available. When you aspire and perspire to acquire a desire you admire and require. Come on. If it backfires, don't retire. But be inspired to refire. Because you can be sure it cannot expire. Or you could say, if you have a vision, there is a mission. What you require is unction and inspiration to set the vision for your mission in motion. What to obey. Are you following me? So words come easy to me. Okay? But I made a fundamental mistake, which most of you are probably already making. You still have a year to correct it. Can you imagine that? I knew I loved writing in year one. There was an English department in University of Benin. But for 4 years in university, I never visited the English department. How sad is that? Very sad. That's really sad. Eh? So like my brother, who is in medicine, when last did you visit the computer science department to find out what they're doing there? Chances are you've never even considered it. Let me put you guys a story. How it's important. So I was interviewing a room of about 200 young professionals who are like, they just kind of open their own business, sell their own companies. And I was asking them, so these are young professionals who have finished university and set up a company or other, small SMEs. And the questions were, so how many of you set up your business based on what you studied? And only 5% of them did. But when I asked them, how many of you set up your business based on a passion and interest, something you love doing? Over 80% of them did. But then I asked them the real question. So how many of you have gone back to take a course, a program in that thing you love doing since that company was set up? The number went down back to 5%. What's that for? Think about it for a minute. It tells you that when you get out there in the field of work, the place of work, you cannot overemphasize the importance of understanding the balance between what you love doing and what you're supposed to do. Hear me and hear me well. I get paid a lot of money now to write. Imagine I was taking writing lessons. Now, you know, it's very funny. I just told you I wrote a book, right? What I didn't tell you is you needed to have seen the manuscript that my editor that edited my first book, the manuscript, it was full of red ink. Hello? If I was not a go-getter, I would have been discouraged because the grammatical corrections and errors in the writing was magnanimous. But why is that so? That is because even though I have a knack and a natural gifting for writing, I still require some leverage of training in the skill of writing, which I lacked. I've had to learn all those things from scratch. When I'm already in my old age, I'm not old, you know what? I'm old. Does that make sense though? Because all of this around syntax, you can't use his before her. Because I never studied literature in English. Just writing just comes naturally to me. But even in the mix of that, there are still some underlying principles and fundamentals to enhance any skill, no matter how naturally it comes to you. Are you following me, friends? So that means that while you're studying, the biggest mistake you will make is relegate that thing you love doing, which comes naturally to you, to the background. Let me paint you a story, a very, very important picture. And professionals will know this once you've left university. Okay? I call it the 3 career e-routes. So write this down. The 3 career e-routes. There are 3 career e-routes. Okay? E-route E, the letter E. I'll explain what they are. The first career e-route is employment. So the idea is you're working for somebody. So once you graduate, there are 3 things you are likely to do, no matter who you are. And I call it 3 e-routes. Route 1 is employment, E for employment. So that means you are working for somebody. Make sense? Route 2 is entrepreneurship or enterprise. That means what? Working for yourself. Yeah? So these are people who set up their own companies. And the 3rd e-route is education. You read some more books. So for people who have finished their first degree, they go and do a master's or they go and do a PhD. So these are the 3 basic career e-routes. The trouble is this. Many people only consider one e-route as they're graduating. So for example, if I ask most of you now, the chances are, is either you tell me I want to go for my master. If you are in that category, let me see your hands. You see what I mean? Put your hands down. Category 2, or I want to set up my own small business. If you're in that category, show me your hands. Yeah, a few people, that's good. Or I want to use my CV and get a supersonic job. If you're in that category, let me see your hands. The chances are you won't find anybody who is in 2 or the 3 categories at once. So let me tell you what happens in real life. So a young person graduates from school and is bustling. I've graduated, then gets a job. Are you following me? He works in the job, which is employment, that employment e-route. He works there for a year. They sack everybody, or he doesn't like the boss. Then he leaves the job. Then the bills are piling up. Then for the first time, he or she is considering the 2nd e-route of enterprise or entrepreneurship. Then somebody will say, man, I'm suffering here. I need money. Maybe I'll just start selling shoes. Does that make sense? Okay? But the trouble is, you're already under pressure. So at this point, is whatever you can do, you don't care, you don't mind. So you are pressured into just starting something on the 2nd e-route of entrepreneurship. Some people is differently. As they're finishing graduation, they know I have my clear mind, set up my company, make so much money, flowing in the, and then they finish graduation. And then they set up this company. The first 1 year passed, no contract. They say, oh, Goleku. Now there's pressure because they are living in the same house with mom and dad. And you know, mom, she's very, very smart. She comes back home and you are struggling with the same pot of soup. Sister, brother, you've graduated now. Shouldn't you have left the house now, contributing to this pot? Now you're under pressure. So you began with thinking you're going into the e-route of entrepreneurship, but now it didn't work. So for the first time, you said, let me write my CV. I'm looking for a job. But isn't that too late? Imagine that while you are in university, you thought to yourself, If I was to write a CV to get a job in employment e-route, what will it be like? If I was to set up a company or an enterprise or a small business, what will it be? If I was to go for my master's or even get a scholarship for the education e-route, what will it be? So your consideration of the 3 e-routes before you even leave university makes you a more rounded graduate. Point stage. Because now nothing catches you unawares. If one doesn't flow, you already prepared for the other one. Instead of being pressured into it. If I'm speaking English, let me see by show of hands. If I'm speaking sense, let me see by show of hands. Put your hands down. So action point 2, everybody. Identify your 3 e-routes. Think about it carefully. What will it be if I was set up a company now? And a simple way of thinking about this is this. Say, if I gave you $100,000 to set something up, what will it be? Think about it. Are you following me? Conceptualize it. Plan it. Read about it and come to that image. So that's a fundamental premise of getting you started. Now, I discovered something very important. And before I continue, there is something all of you in this room have in abundance, but you misuse it. Who can guess what it is? Thank you very much. It's time. Okay? You have time, you have enough time, but you misuse it. Okay? So, in order to populate your CV, going back to your question, I didn't forget, populate your CV, you need to let go of some things you do with your time now, because your time is your best friend. Hello? Your time is your resource. When people tell you time is money, I take it literally. Time is money. Time is money in the bank. Let me ask you a question. I'd like you to respond to me, A or B. What would you prefer to invest your money in? Bank A, they've got amazing sofas. The air conditioning will freeze your brain. Everything is beautiful. The receptionist gives you a cup of tea, cup of coffee, juice as you are entering into the bank. But all of this nicely put together, the interest is 5%. Bank B, then try small for the sofa. Yeah? You enter the bank, it's rowdy and looking chaotic. Nobody even send you in terms of cup of tea, but the interest is 20%. Where would you put your money? Bank A or B? Are you sure there's nobody who's superficial enough to put it in A here? Think about it. You think that, are you saying that cup of tea can't entice you to put your money in A? So you will all put your money in B. Are you sure? So now let me put it to you. It's nice to say it. I put it in B. I put it in B. But in reality, all of you have been putting your time money in A. I'll say it again. In reality, most of you in this room, you've been putting your, think about time is money. Most of you say that. You've been putting your time money in useless banks with no interest. Are you following me? You've got time. You know, I was in a recession, I think it was in Zambia, I can't remember, or Kenya. And I was talking about time like this, and I was telling how much you need to free time to do some interesting things. The reason why you are making useless of your time is because you've forgotten that the most successful students are students who act like professionals while they're studying. So right now in your brain, you only see yourself as a student. That's why you're struggling. If you also know that you are also a professional, even though you're a student, you will start behaving and acting like a professional. And I will explain in a minute. So by the way, I was saying this in the room. And I was like, you people have time. You have time in your hands. And one young man at the back said, Doc, it's true. We have time. But he said it with enthusiasm. So I asked him, what do you mean? He said, Doc, I will be honest with you. I remember just last week, I was asking a girl out on WhatsApp for 4 hours. The girl said no. 4 hours is a long time. How many of you watch Premiership? Don't lie, you Arsenal fans.
Arsenal.
Oh, you.
Up Gunners.
Arsenal fans that your boys have been misbehaving. You do know that. You do know that. So what I want you to do for me this week. So action point what now? 3. I'd like you guys to do a time map this week. A time map. I will tell what it means. So a time map is basically like an Excel spreadsheet of everything you use your time for. So maybe do it over a week period. It's easier. It's an amazing thing to do. Be surprised. So basically tell yourself, so we wake up in the morning, so from Monday. When do I wake up? 6 a.m. What do I do? I pray 10 minutes. What do I do next? I use the bathroom. What do I do? Break it down. It's a personal time map. When do I go for lecture? I do this. I watch TV. I watch Game of Thrones, 5 episodes. Write it down. For this to work, you have to be honest, because that's your money, your time map. Are you following me? What you discover quite quickly is how much time you spend gallivanting and doing absolutely nothing. You know the biggest thief of time in the world we now live? Who can guess what it is? You all know it now. What is the biggest thief of time? Social media, your mobile phones. Just 2 weeks ago, I dabbled. I didn't know it was there, actually, to be honest. I was looking through my phone and I dabbled into a section of my phone called screen analytics. Who knows that? You know what it is? You do, right? And my screen analytics told me that I spent 5 or 7 hours on WhatsApp that week. I nearly collapsed. Doing what? I appreciate that my WhatsApp is what I use for my work because I'm a partnership executive. So correspondence with partners across African countries. But even that is a long time to spend on WhatsApp. Most of you just spend time looking for the new shoe that Davido bought. You can't even afford the shoe. What's the new fashion in town? Some people's work is just to retweet. Other people's work is to look for the nearest gossip and then put your own contribution. Who sent you a message? Are you following me? You are in university. It almost feels to me like the reality of work hits students after they've left university. It just makes no sense. Can you imagine your parents? Is it cheap to be backward? Some of you maybe got wealthy parents, but some of you, your dad and mom have had to struggle and find the money for you to come here. Then you spend 4 years gallivanting. That just makes no sense to me. When you can be a bit more intentional and structured. Can you follow me? Because at the end of the day, once you leave university, let me tell you now, and I tell you well, lecturers in the room know this. Your access for free things in a university environment ends. Once you leave university, you tell somebody, how are you? You say, pay me. Everything you have to pay once you leave these walls. Friends, you better open your eye and start doing things a bit more intentionally. So time mapping. Why is that important? I like you to structure and free up your time. Because the things I'm now asking you to do require some time investment. Make sense? So you have to free that up from the things you do. But you can't even free it up if you don't have a clear idea of what you spend your time doing. The power of time. So in my case, I remember I mapped my time and I was in shock at how much time I spent traveling. So either on the way to the airport, in the VIP lounge, on the flight, landing the airport, or checking, I spent a lot of time in my career. So because I'm aware of it, I did something differently. I reinvested productivity within time. So for example, when I travel now on flights, I actually keep work and take it on the flight. So, that time has been converted from bank A to bank B. Does that make sense? Are you following me, guys? Respond to me. So you can intentionally begin to plug in those times you freed up into specific banks for your own productivity. And guess what? There are a lot of banks waiting for your time money. Good banks, you'll be amazed. I'll give you a long list. There's a lot of banks waiting for your time money. Are you following me? So once you free up your time, you know what your time is. So if you used to watch 5 episodes of what's the 100th series in town? I remember it's that heist series, Money Heist. People like money. Yeah. So you used to watch 4 episodes of Money Heist a week. Okay, let me reduce it to 2 episodes. You will not die. Hello, free up 2 hours. That 2 hours can be used for something else. Listen to me. You have to be this intentional. Okay, good. So once you free up your time, then let's begin specific things to do. So back to your question. What was I writing in that CV that gave it 7 pages? Now you will know. So action point 1. Everybody bring out your phones. Bring out your phones. Everybody. Go on Google. Google app. Are you there? So I like you guys to type something for me. So I asked you, there is something you love doing. It's not your course of study, right? Most of you have that. So yours was fashion design, and yours was a graphic design. Let me ask somebody else. Okay, I like the contrast. Who else? Can you tell me yours? What do you love doing? It's not your course of study. She loves acting, but your course of study is what? Economics. There's no connection. Okay, so now go on Google and do something for me. Type free international courses in, then type that thing you love doing. So in acting or free international courses, graphic design. So type that thing you love doing. It's not your course of study. So free international courses in, then write that thing and then click enter. Let me show you something. What do you see? No matter that area, you will see a long, endless list. Am I correct? If you scroll down, you see page 2, page 3, the list goes on. Hello? It means that on your phone, you have access to free courses to develop the knowledge and capacity in that thing you love doing, because it has no link with your course of study. So action point what now? 4. Tell yourself that you will do at least one short course once every 2 months. And I'm being nice, because if you are a go-getter like me, you can consume courses once every 2 weeks. Make sense? So you freed up your time. So let me tell you what to fill the time up with. There are free, it doesn't involve any money. Do you pay for internet on Babcock University? Well, you pay as part of your fees, that's what I mean. Am I right? You still have to buy internet separately. Do I care? Most of you know how to get internet when you're looking for fashion show and Instagramming. So what's my business? You will find able to find the money if it's important to you enough. Hello? I'm telling you that, tell yourself that between now and when you graduate, you want to take at least one short course. And there are online courses on your phone. Are you following me? Most of those courses, within 4 hours, 1 week, you finish the course. But guess what? At the end of the course, what do you do? Who can tell me? You balance and eat eba. You carry that CV. You look at it and tell you, CV, I will show you pepper today. You now write boldly, I've just completed a supersonic course. for today. Are you following me? That means before you graduate, you should have a section on your CV for short international courses that has no link with your course of study. There is no employer who will see your CV and compare to other CVs for new graduates, and he will say, wait a minute, this person is finished university, the same year that one has finished, but this one has done 5 more new international courses by international bodies compared to this one. Except I'm not in my right mind. That is a differentiator. Hello? So now it's beginning to make sense. What was in my 7-page CV, right? No, I'm not finished yet. I'm coming. That's just part 1. Are you ready? Yes. Hello? Now follow me. A key thing that most employers complain about is work experience. So students don't have work experience. And I think Prof of industry engagement. Let me tell you a sweet secret of work experience. So many students make a fundamental mistake. Okay, just so that I can be clear. Is it now making sense to you why your friends who are not here have missed? When I told you before, you thought I was joking, and I've not even started the lecture yet. Your friends who are not here have missed. So most employers complain about one thing, all of them, is most students who have work experience. So I don't want to understand this, and I'll explain what I mean. I tried an experiment some few years ago now. I rang up different students, about 10 students of different universities, the vice chancellors universities. And I gave them a small assignment. And the assignment was this. I said, these students, write a cover letter. You are. My name is Lagbaja, this Babcock University, as an example. And I do this course. I am a good boy, and I'm hoping to write a small cover letter. Then get your lecturer, it can even be doc, write you like a reference letter. Can you follow me? Then get maybe your parents, whoever, your guardian, to write you a reference letter. So, and I told these 10 students, try something for me. Because I realized that most universities, within and around them, within a 1 kilometer radius, you can count up to 100 to 1,000 SMEs. Okay? In the world we now live, it gets even more interesting. You can have access to a lot of companies virtually. So what did these students do? So I told them, I said, walk into any of those shops or SMEs within and around the university, and go there, meet the shop owner. It can be like a pharmacy shop, doesn't matter. And you say, sir, this is my cover letter. That's my lecturer's letter, that I'm a good boy. Is it okay, sir, if I work for you for just 2 hours a week, and it's okay not to pay me? Did you get that? Can you guess what happened? In less than 1 week or 2 weeks, all the students got jobs. You know how long? 2 hours nothing for you guys. That is one match between Manchester and Arsenal. That's how rubbish 2 hours is. It's one football match of Arsenal and Manchester if you add the halftime. And they got jobs. Look at the beautiful thing about it. There is no CV where you have to write how many hours you work somewhere. You only write from January to December. Secondly, there is no CV where you have to write how much you were paid. Hello? You only write the skills you picked up and the experiences you have. That means, friends, there are many of you here who should be having 7-page CVs in your final year, that you have only 2-page CV. Wow. There's trouble. You have 1 year to make it up quick. Can you explain this to me? Can someone in this room tell me which institution or organization is the biggest employer of labor in Ogun State besides the Ogun State government? It's Babcock, you are right. Say it with confidence. I'll ask the question again. Who can tell me the biggest employer of labor in Ogun State besides Ogun State government? It's Babcock University. So can you explain this to me? How can you be living and working and gallivanting in the biggest employer of labor for 4 years and don't know anything about labor? How does that make sense? The reason is because you've only seen Babcock as a university of learning. You've never switched on your professional cap. I told you before, any student who wants to make it when they graduate, start behaving like a professional now. So examples. Today, as we were driving down, I'm looking at the gate. We're driving down. I think I counted about, just by looking back and left and right, I counted at least 5 different posters of events in Babcock, just a short drive. I didn't count myself, just intentionally. I know if I drive around campus, I will see over 50. Am I right? Events are happening. If there's anywhere you have events happening all the time, it's a university. It's either you are organizing what you call it, a seminar happening in one department, or somebody's holding one workshop somewhere, or there's a Christian fellowship somewhere. A university is a location for events. Hello. So the next time you walk past a poster, do something differently. Look at it. There'll be a number there. Take your phone and call the number, and you say, "Sir or ma, I saw this poster about this workshop happening in social department." Doesn't have to be a department. It makes no difference. Is it okay if I volunteer to help with the planning of that event? And it's okay not to pay me, sir. Hello? So they invite you over. Even if you have to go and fetch your water, or help organize the room, or be the, what do you call it, the waitress, or the whatever the case, the organizer, whatever you see you are doing, or the usher. At the end of the event, who can tell me what you do? No, you're not saying it well. You first eat a bar. You have to balance the right thing. You eat a hot eba. You carry the CV and write to what? You look for a sweet place in the CV. What do you write? I think we volunteer with it. I was part of the supersonic team. You are speaking grammar. Volunteer with it. I was part of it. Weren't you part of it? You're lying. I was part of it. They're laughing. People don't know what's going on. You need to be intentional. I was part of the supersonic team that organized the international conference of so and so in this faculty. I took part in the event planning, event management, the budgeting. Only you. Are you following me? Most of you have lecturers, and I just smile. So you know, Prof, she's a lovely lady, right? You see her pass every day. A smart student who thinks like a professional would approach her one day and say, "Prof, I will come early. Each time you drive to the office, I want to just help you carry your bag upstairs. And I will come and wait. You tell me when you will close, and I'll carry your bag back to the car." Eh? Sorry, ma, do you have a social media account? If you don't, I can just use my phone. Any event you attended, even meeting with you, just let me know, ma. I'll just follow you. I'll take pictures when you're with the VC, and I will post it on your social media account. What is going on? What can I tell you what's going on here? You have created a job for yourself by force. Hello? She's too busy. She has to consider preparing lecture notes, preparing handle, marking script. But she wants to be available on a virtual space. And you live in those spaces. In fact, it's like you wake up there. God have mercy in this world. You live in those spaces. It's how you wake up in the morning. How about you convert your livelihood in those spaces into something more tangible and become the social account manager of your lecturer? I'm talking about looking for work. When there is work back and front you around campus, you only have to open your eyes. How many of you know any master's degree student in your department? You see my point? Do you even know what they do? Or any PhD student in your department? Do you even know what they do? If I were you, I'll go find out. Bros, I heard you are doing your master's in this same department. What is this master's about, sir? He will tell you it is the impact of Labaja and Labaja. Sounds very interesting. Do you like carry experiments after 3 years? Yeah. When next you are going for field trip, can I just join body with you? Tag along. I won't even, you even know I'm there. I'm very quiet. I'll tag along. This is your interesting project. Maybe you've carried it's like agricultural masters. Okay, maybe I can carry this sample. What is happening? People, you are creating jobs and getting practical experience on the go. I can go on and on and on. Because you know what? You are living in the biggest employer of labor. That means anybody you see who is not a student is what? An employee. That means they have a contract. So find out how can you integrate yourself virtually within the employment contract. That's the trick. Because that contract covers them as an employee. But that contract can be navigated to you by strategic insights. Does that make sense? There are many people I've had sessions with. I'll give you a true story. A young man in University of Benin, he came for one of my sessions. After the session, he said he couldn't sleep. So when he woke up in the morning and went to the library, because every part of the university is employment, is in operation. So he went to the library. The librarian said, sir, is there anything I can do in the library? The guy was like, what do you mean? He said, no. Like anything I can volunteer and be helped and do it. And don't pay me, what I can do. So the librarian said he was so confused because no student in his life has ever come to ask that. So they said, let me think about it. So the man left. I think a few weeks later, they rang him up and said, come. Oh, don't worry. You can help with the stocking or rearrangement of the books after people have come to the library and read the books and scattered it everywhere. So he got to learn book structures, identification, a range of things. But guess what? The young man was doing, I can't remember what that's engineering, one course, but he always had an interest in books. So what has happened by doing that? He has added an extra skill on book store management. People would have never had doing engineering by simply volunteering. How many of you feel bad right now? You better feel bad. That's the intention. How many of you feel like, my goodness, I'm in final year already. I should have been doing this since year one. If you feel that way, be honest, raise up your hand. Well, that's the whole point. It was to make you feel really bad. But not bad enough to go and be crying at home. Bad enough to begin to do action points. That's why I'm giving you specific steps. Are you following me? Because you're in a space where things can happen. Let me give you another example. Okay? So, and it's a story about myself. So all these things gives you an idea, right, of why my CV was 7 pages. My wife always laughed at me. She would be like, each time I go to university, it's almost as if I have a torchlight. looking for the next thing to do so I can put it in the CV. That is the reason why my first job was 500 pounds a day. Come on now. Because when someone look at my CV, it doesn't look like a student CV. That's the point. So I bring another dimension to this. So I remember that the very first job I ever got, okay, like that gave me a sense of consulting, like the idea of consulting, was while I was a student. I said, well, I'm wrapping up now because in case I have questions. So I had gone for a conference, yeah, and I'd given a talk. I was still in my PhD. And as I came out to university, somebody reached out to me and said, hey, Aka, there is an agency in Nigeria. I was based in the UK. Just in Nigeria, who was looking for an expert, like a professor expert in a particular area. So I went online, true story. I went online and I Googled on my university website, and I found a professor in the business school who had a specialty in that area. I wrote to the prof and said, hey, prof, I have this agency in Nigeria who are looking for an expert. They want to visit, come and discuss partnerships. So the prof said, yeah, we have to visit. I asked prof, can you like give them a letter to help their visa? The prof said, that's fine. So prof gave them a letter for their visas. Anyway, this took like 5 minutes. This happened in the UK anyway. So these guys in Nigeria came to the UK, they had these meetings and they went back. I forgot about it. But a week after, I got an email. And the email said, hey, Aka, how much do you charge for your service? I said, which service? Bros, is there any service there? I don't understand. So I called my friends like, all I did was just look for this professor online and arrange this meeting. They came, they've left. How much do you charge for something like that? So my friend said, maybe let's charge them 300 pounds. So I wrote back and I said, my charge for this consultancy of connection. We laughed again. My charge for this consultancy of connection is 300 pounds. So 1 week passed, there was no reply. The second week passed, no reply. I called my friend. I said, you're a bad guy. I've just asked for 50 pounds, JJ. But the reason why they took time was because they were wondering if I had a Nigerian account. So the next week, an email came through and the email said, hey, Aka, do you by any chance have a Nigerian account? Sister, brother, even if I didn't have a Nigerian account, that account will show face quick. They paid the Naira equivalent of that money into my account. Who can guess what happened next? As a sharp man, can guess what happened next? I called my father, my mother, my auntie, even my enemy. I said, if you have anybody who wants connection, come to me. I was doing that when I was a student. It's true. And she's right. It's what I still do till now. Let me show you what I mean. Call any African country. I like doing this because when I do this, it hits people. You can be different. Can you call any African country? Anybody? Ghana.
Congo.
So I have so much connections that I save numbers on my phone, starting with the country. So let me show you. So you see, Ghana is the first thing you see, right? Then the names. So these are directors, executives, vice chancellors, anybody who has money I'm looking for. They are all here. They're laughing. You're laughing there. Ghana goes on. Call, you said Zimbabwe. Let me show you what I mean. So what do you see? You see Zimbabwe, starts and then the name. So these are directors, executives, they know me and I know them. Call another country, Uganda. That's what to call like me. This doesn't like me. Uganda, you see, the names because that's the first thing you see, the actual name, the directors. We can go on and on. There are 55 countries in Africa. They know me. Hello. But the beautiful thing is that this is when you have enough time to be known. This is when you have time to be known. Because your network is your net worth. Who knows you? You are happy gallivanting in Bangkok and doing local champion. When people are making serious money. You are a student, but you are also a professional. So action point what now? 5. The next action point is decide in the next 1 year to dangerously increase your network. And how do you start? Very simple. Find on LinkedIn. That's why I told you guys to follow me on LinkedIn, because I leave lots of tips on LinkedIn every week. You can't miss it. And by the way, once you get links, the link from Doc to download the app, it's free of charge and it's heavy with resources. Tell your friend it's the most resourceful app for information you've ever seen as far as career is concerned. It's broken down into time management. What do you need to do? So, action point 5, decide today to increase people who know you. So, as an activity, go on LinkedIn next time. You know, there's actually a button on social media people never use. It's called the search button. You search for students doing your course in their final year in other African countries. Hello. It's a simple search. If you know what you're doing online, you can find them. Final year students in chemistry in Uganda. I can assure you a list will pop up. Do some navigation, find out who they are, and then write to them. But before you write to them, try and update your own LinkedIn profile. Because when you write to anybody new who hasn't met you, what's the first thing they will do? They will Google you. So like I tell people, before somebody Googles me, I better Google myself first. So Google yourself. If you Google yourself and Google is having epilepsy to find you, that means we have a problem. Are you following me? So make sure you are okay in the space, then send information out. It's a simple email. Dear Jacqueline, I am a final year student of Bangkok University, a top private university in Nigeria, and I'm studying so and so area. The topic of my research is social space. I also noticed that you are also a final year student in Kenyatta University in Nairobi. I wonder if you started considering careers, if we could have a connection. I'll be open to some conversations. It don't finish. It don't finish. No story. Then the person respond, because the chances are, I think you do 3 or 4, somebody will respond. Can you follow me? Before you know it, can we exchange WhatsApp number? You've now gotten an ally in Kenya. People, let me tell you a small story of shocking. Because I've got so much contacts, I don't even have to look for opportunities. Opportunity now looks for me. Because if somebody in Tanzania, in Uganda, finds an opportunity that they think would interest me, what do they do? They just WhatsApp me, dog, how far? There's something happening in Botswana. Are you game? Now I have to decide if I want it or not, because there are too many. When last did you hear a student graduated from a university in Nigeria, a Nigerian student, and he or she intentionally applied for a job in Uganda? Does that make sense? It's not something that even crosses your mind, but why not? Why not? Let me say this, it may surprise you. I traveled enough to know that Africa, they fear and respect Nigerians. So even by being Nigerian, you are already a champion. You don't even know it. And to test the hypothesis, I asked several HR managers in different countries. So for example, I said, HR manager in Kenya. So sir, if you put up a job application or job request for applications in Kenya, and many people submitted their CVs, and I asked them this, and I asked many people this, If you're flipping through the CV, chances are, if you are a Kenya HR person, you will see Kenya CV, Kenya CV, Kenya CV. So I asked them, as you're flipping through, if you came across a Nigerian CV, what's the first thing you would do? All of them told me the same thing. They will take it out of the pack and put it aside. This one is special attention. Because it's natural. There's a curiosity from somebody from somebody being where they're not supposed or assumed to be. Make sense? You live in a virtual world. If I ask you now what is happening to Tom Hanks, most of you might know. You are so informed with other people's matters. It is now time for people to be informed of your own matters. Thank you very much.
Please let's keep happening. Before we move on to the interactive session, we are going to have a quick announcement from Dr. Shion.
It's just that we should please just stay behind. There was going to be a special photo session with the facilitator just to take after the program.
Okay, Mr. Damilare can come and conduct the interactive.
Thank you. Can we clap for Dr. John? Yes, I was thinking, you didn't come when I was in Babcock. I graduated 2009. So you guys are privileged. And in the next 2-3 years, we'll be hearing about you all over the world. All right? Oh, amen. It is ask questions. I know what, as Dr. Odion was speaking, you have 1 or 2 things to ask me, man. But before that, he mentioned about short duration courses. And Buko there, Babcock University Center for Open Distance and E-Learning, enter into partnership with InterSwitch. How many of us have heard of InterSwitch before? And we came up with a course, 8-week modularized program called Fundamentals of E-Payments. You have paid for it, 15,000. If you look at the breakdown of the school fees, you will see Fundamentals of E-Payments. And every year we struggle with students, we send mail to you, we send WhatsApp message, please register for this program, you can do it on your phone now. As of today, we have about 235 students that are registered, and it's for penultimate and final year. Penultimate and final year, we have about maybe the total number of final year students should be about maybe over 1,000, and even penultimate, and we have only 235. So as you are living here, please register for that short duration course. The link will be sent to Dr. Shin. Thank you. So, all right, let's know the number. Number 1, just pick a number. She's number 1. Number 2, any other number 3? All right, 3 questions. So you can start. You can take note of the questions, sir, so that you can answer.
So, good evening. So my question is concerning the CV. Without even making researches or something, concerning what I hear and what sometimes my parents tell me is that your CV is mostly based on the course you study, because by the time I carry my CV to the hospital and they begin to see she writes, she does all this hobbies, yes. So I feel now I have a podcast that I do, and sometimes I want to get into all this content writing and other things, but I feel like it is not necessary because it doesn't add any value to my CV. So at the end of the day, it's just be seen as a side job that should just be kept at the side only. So my question now is that, am I now meant to
start something up.
I get it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Number 2.
Good afternoon. Good evening, rather. I'm Quadri Fatima, student of Mass Communication Department at Oxford University, 200 level. So my question is like this. You said something about the 3 E routes. Yes.
Yeah.
3 E routes. Now I've been having a conversation with my mom about going to my master's.
Okay.
And then on the first day, the lecturer was talking. And I'm going to figure out something he said. He said, when you go for your master's, like your employment, like people might not want to employ you because they feel like, oh, how did you just talk to your master's? So that was the turn off for some people. And I've been actually battling with that thought. Then I came here and he said something. He said that getting jobs. And based on this film, so I was like, okay, how about if I do my master's and I work part-time? I'm building my CV at the same time. So at the end of the day, how employable am I going to be? Like if I have projects, I want a job for you. What are the chances of you giving me a job?
Thank you. Number 3.
Okay, good evening. You said something when you make your plans and you're being detailed about it. There's a higher tendency you get to achieve a lot. So my question is, how do you manage or work out cases of emergency and cases of impromptu situations? In a scenario where you're supposed to time management.
Thank you. Dr.
So I'll start with yours. So in your time mapping, emergencies understanding. So it means that happens once a while. Am I correct? Yeah, don't take it into consideration. So I'm asking you to do a time mapping based on your average week. But you have to be honest to yourself. So how does your average week go? You've had how many weeks? In your final year, you've had 50. How many weeks do you have in a semester? Say 40. Yeah, 16 years times 4. So that's 32 weeks in a year times 4. It doesn't matter. So that's 30 weeks in a year times 4. You've had 4 years. So you've had 120 weeks. So you should have an idea of how your week is going. That's the point. I'm sure you have emergencies every week. So forget about emergencies. You should have an idea. Do one and your average week. Do a time mapping based on that. Make sense? So your question. This is a very, very good question. It just shows me you are listening. There is no rule on earth you should have one CV. Sister, I have 5 CVs. I'm a writer. I have a writer's CV. I am an environmentalist. I have an environmentalist CV. Hello? I'm a local content specialist. I have a local content CV. They are all loaded equally. So when I'm in the writing space, I've got a CV I'm flying with. And in some cases, I now navigate and incorporate some elements of my writing CV within my environmental CV to say, guess what? I'm not only an environmentalist, I write environmental pieces. Make sense? So you can navigate those spaces. It's about you understanding that you are more than just one person. There are many of you. Nothing stopping you from having a special CV for podcast. But guess what? The trouble now comes where you now begin to write your podcast CV. You write your name, the details. And then when it comes to, CVs have education. You can't write any course you've taken around media. Then you are stuck. That's why I'm telling you that when you look at an average CV, develop a CV profile for what you love doing. So in my CV as a writer, I've got my name the way it is. When it comes to education, I don't have a first degree, but I have at least 4 courses I've done around writing. That covers the education. Does that make sense? I now have my assignments and work. I've got links to the different articles I've written, the books I've been approved. Before you know it, I've got a 7-page writing CV. That's what I'm talking about, being intentional and developing those spaces. Make sense? So if you're a fashion designer, sister, when you do 3 or 4 courses in fashion design, and you already covered the education, you now begin to do some sampling of fashion design, your work, look for spaces. Who have you designed for? Look for customers. You know, most of you, and I say it's very, very important. I don't want to go spiritual because we will not live here. I'm not joking actually. But my point is this: the difference between what you do right now, which you call a hobby, and it being converted to a passion for profit, is based on who benefits from it. I'll say it again. The difference between what you do now, you just call, I just love it, it's my hobby, and it becoming a passion for profit is dependent on who gets benefits. What do I mean? Right now, you are the only person getting benefits from the hobby. You do it to relax. Am I correct? Because you love it. The moment you convert the benefit and somebody else is benefiting, it has now become a potential for a career. Because all careers are based on giving somebody else benefit for which you are paid. People, listen to me. Think about it for a minute. So if I were you, because normally right now I'm sure you just design fashion design and you sew your own clothes and you're happy. Next time, look for your lecturer or somebody in your class and say, you look lovely, sister. Let me design one shirt for you, one dress for you. Now you've moved the benefit from yourself to what? To somebody else. That's when it becomes a portfolio, because you can refer to somebody who has benefited from what you've done. Make sense? To your question, you're very, very good point. So your question is around that dichotomy around jobs. So you finish university, and for me, you have to blend both. So when you're studying, you can do some part-time jobs. And your mom is saying that, well, if you go and push it to your masters, you won't get a job. That's not actually very true. Okay? What do I mean by it's not true? Because ultimately, if you position yourself, okay, and you are doing the activities of a professional while you're doing your masters, you're already building a professional profile while doing your masters. Does that make sense? So actually, you can achieve both concurrently. But it goes back to my point. You can't do this if you don't know what you spend your time doing. You have to know what you spend time doing. What time do you have spare to do other interesting things? That's the bottom line.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to quickly add the nurse. Who says you have to be a bedside nurse? Is that really what you want to become? Whatever else you're doing can actually be amalgamated with, your nursing. Who says it's not going to give you a space to become a consultant to, in the health, whatever, to whatever else? The world is not going solo in professional spaces. You've got to transcend a narrow profession, and be relevant in so many. It actually markets you and positions you better. Even if you apply for a bedside nurse, and they know you are into bed planning, I can't remember what you are or whatever. In your place of work, there will be a management position. There will be, a director where those skills are needed. So it is a wrong assumption to think that if you are doing something else that is not aligned to a certain profession, it limits you. No, it actually expands your opportunities. Thank you very much.
So only a good point. I think Prof is very, very correct. So in my experience, it's very important. My experience, I think I'm okay to say this because I'm in a Christian environment, right? Is that okay? Good. So in my experience, it's very important. The easiest way to say this is this. The biggest crisis in work, if you ask anybody, is the conflict between what you do for a job and what you love doing. Ask anybody. So you see people who work for 5 years and they are tired and they retire and resign and go and do something that maybe not even paying them as much, but they're happy. I won't mention a VC, but this will surprise you. Recently, I met a VC who I was discussing coming to come and do a career session for a student. And I almost fell down when the vice chancellor told me, Doc, it's an important session to come and do. I said, why, sir? He said, who told you I love lecture? That's it. Then he opened up to me and told me that when he finished university back in the day, he just navigated before he found himself lecturing. Before he knew lecturer 1 to lecturer 2 to lecturer 3, professor, and his VC. I asked him, but there's something you absolutely love. He said yes, but it's not lecturing. That stopped me in my tracks. That's a vice chancellor. There are many people suffering and struggling in their careers because there's a conflict between what they are doing now, which they just do because it gives money on the table, and what they really, really want to do. Don't make the same mistake. You see me smiling. I have achieved what I call in my next book, career equilibrium. When there is no conflict between what I love doing. You see the way I'm speaking, you can tell I'm enjoying myself, right? Yes. You should be able to tell. I can speak for Africa, even though my PhD was environmental management. But now I'm also able, so for me, I'm also able to speak in environmental events. It's a combination of what I enjoy doing, which comes naturally to me, and what I studied. The reason why you have the conflict, and I'll tell you the honest truth, is because you left one family and pursued the other one. So it's either you've been following that thing you're doing just to give you money, and you've left that thing you love because you say you don't have time. That's why the conflict exists. If you allow them to flow seamlessly, something always almost happens. You know what it is? They find a way to merge, to integrate, because they are running concurrently. So the mistake you make is you think, I'm going deeper now, but maybe it's important I explain this. You think that you need to spend the same amount of time you spend in your studies doing that thing you love doing. No, you don't. A simple way to explain this is, if I spend 2 hours doing a course of study, maybe I don't like it so much, but I'm just doing it because it's the in thing. And it gives you a 5-meter projection. You probably need to spend only 30 minutes or less to get the same projection in something you love. Does that make sense? Because it comes naturally to me. You know what I'm saying? So she's smiling, the lady fashion, because that's what I'm saying. Because when she picks up fashion designing, she can cover the work in 2 hours. What will take her 5 hours to do in something else she doesn't love dearly. It's a natural phenomenon. Can you follow me? So many people work in their careers and they've worked for 5 years. But each time you ask them, I know a friend of mine who works in the bank. He's worked in the bank and he was making serious money, but he was never happy. I thought money was supposed to give you happiness. But he will tell you, when I'm designing a shoe, I can't explain the joy. Shoe. Yeah, so the fact is, he can't even explain why. To end it, I don't want to go too deep, but it's important I paint a very small picture. Okay? If I say lion, the animal, which phrases come to your mind? King, bold, fearless, what else? Fantastic. Oh, so I'll put it to you now. What if I told you that a lion is one of the laziest animals in the animal kingdom? You don't believe me? But you know it's actually true. Because a male lion sleeps for 20 hours a day. Is it that really if a human being slept for 20 hours a day, what would you call him? It's a slob.
But look at the beautiful thing about this. It doesn't matter if the lion sleeps 20 hours a day. Because in those 4 hours it's active. It is the best at what it does. It's so good at it, you forget sleeping. That's why you can never put the phrase lazy by a lion. So I want to tell you very clearly, so hear me well. Whatever comes naturally to you, you cannot remember learning it. You can't remember how you knew it. But when you do it, it's easy. There's a reason why. Somebody put it there. And that thing is fundamental to your success. I'll stop at that point. If I go to allow you, we'll be here till tomorrow. We want to say thank you, sir. God bless you. Okay, we can move to the next one.
Okay, we'll move quickly to the closing remarks by Dr. Shehu.
I want to once again thank our facilitator for these nuggets he has shared with us today. Well, I think a number of the things he has said, I've had the privilege to also hint on it in my classes. And the 21st century labor market is so different. When the lady who was talking, you said your parents said this. The 21st century labor market is different on account of the diversification of the market, also the demands of the market. So you cannot, in 21st century, be streamlined, to just study one course and everything you want to know is just that. Even in whatever job you find yourself doing, you need other skills here and there. And like you were saying, I've been a number of job partners. When they are screening CVs, especially, CV is a major problem. You see, it's an advantage or plus for anybody who has the qualifications others have and have additional things to show. Some of the free talked about, some extra skills, volunteer jobs, like you were saying. But on your CV, you don't need to indicate, because you don't need to indicate a volunteer job. If you tell somebody where you have worked, for example, now, say a doctor who has said he has worked in St. Nicholas Hospital. When they do housemanship, there are those who get paid. But there are those who apply and say, oh, please, don't pay me, even for housemanship, on account of, because the way the hospitals work, they have maybe 5 places that will be paid. Now there's the one that you don't get any money. Some of them actually do their house job on that. Do you know what I'm saying? There's something they call it, I can't recall. When you do your house job without pay, there's a name for that. But is that? No, but there's a particular word for local pre-housemanship. But during the housemanship period, there's a name they call those. So, but yeah, we are just going is those set of people, they don't get, and I do that for 1 year and finish the normal training. While others are getting paid, but in their CV, they will indicate they've done their thing. So, and eventually over time, how you mentioned also about time, time, that's a very important resource. And but you see that we are the product of how we use our time. It's the years that we live as time goes by, the years we find are a product. We become a product of how we've managed or how we've abused time. So I want to thank you so much. I won't take time anymore because time has certainly been fast spent. But he has given us a number of action points, about 6 of them. And I also encourage us to use most judiciously what he has passed across. Thank you very much, sir.
So we won't take much of our time again since time is of essence. I'm going to call on the PUSA president for thanks.
Everybody, can you clearly hear me? So before I give the vote of thanks to the facilitator, I'd like to take time out to give special appreciation to the PUSA sponsor. The reason why I'm thanking the PUSA sponsor is because I remember he called me one night by 11 p.m. concerning this program. I think after he spoke to the director of Bookdale, Dr. Shotusa, I was sleeping, sir. Professor shooting side, I was sleeping, I remember. I told the president, this thing, no. And of course, I was very reluctant because I remember being to a program where we had one facilitator, and then I was with a team. By God's grace, I owned something very small, equipped. And after that program, sir, invested millions and millions, I'm telling you, went down the drain. But this is quite different from the various expanding of different programs, different platforms, skill monetization, and so on and so forth. And by God's grace, traveled quite to a number of states on various seminars of this caliber. And I like to say that this is the first time that I'm hearing certain people come with precision. They are being specific. It's not just telling you you can do this, giving you practical steps on how you can do this, or how you can navigate certain things, and how you can implement these ideas and bring them to life. I like to say a very big thank you to the facilitator, Dr. Akanimo. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, and pardon me, so the tongue sometimes is not correct. So I'd like to thank Professor Dr. Akanimo, being the facilitator, for making our time to be here all the way from the United Kingdom. And also thank the Professor Opolola Shotosa, the Director of Bokutel, for bringing up this initiative. It is applaudable for considering the students to be part of this warm and insightful. In fact, I can go on and on. So many adjectives to qualify this event today. We are most grateful, Mark. Thank you for reaching out to our sponsor, and also thank you to our sponsor for reaching out to me. And thank you, everyone. I'm not thanking you for attending because you learned something. So you should be thanking yourself and applauding yourself for doing that event. So thank you so much to the facilitator. We do hope that by God's grace, we plan an advanced session where the facilitator will get the honor of being there. Maybe we upgrade our mobilization skill to ensure that the number is larger and we have more beneficiaries from these events that have been narrated. So thank you for coming. Thank you all for being here. And do have a wonderful evening. God bless you.
Thank you very much, President. I'm going to be calling on Professor Bubolanle Shotisa for our presentation.
My presentation. Anyway, for a presentation, thank you very much. It's my pleasure to ask Dr. Akanimo to please be upstanding. Thank you very much. Yeah, on behalf of Babcock University, clearly, you have no right to say it's too much. That is, what is this word here? Sir, you know, I was not joking when I can show you a flyer of those kind of workshop that we'll be holding very soon in November. It's 20,000 per head. And I have graciously offered it to Babcock University free of charge. On behalf of Babcock University administration, Babcock University students, Babcock University faculty, because we had a session for them in the morning. We just want to appreciate you. This is only a token of appreciation for your graciousness, and it has been so impactful. And I know that the journey of our partnership will be much more than this. May the good Lord bless you, Jesus. Thank you very much. And as I sit down, I want to appreciate the alumni once again. The snacks and everything you are having was sponsored by the BUI.
Okay, we are going to be doing 5 segments of applause now. This is my own little segment. First of all, I would like everyone to give our facilitator a very big round of applause. And we are going to be giving Professor Mobolanle Shotisa a round of applause. I want us to give everybody on the table a round of applause. I want you to give yourself a round of applause. Last one, I think you wait. Give me a round of applause. So I'll be calling on the Deputy Senate President to give us the closing prayer. Is she here? Please come forward. Please let's rise for the closing prayer. Father Lord, Kings of Kings, thank you for allowing us to come to the end of this book. Thank you because we have heavily impacted with so much knowledge, so much skills, so much things that we use to further educate ourselves, to further enhance ourselves, to further grow ourselves, to make us more enjoyable. Father Lord, I want to thank you for the facilities. I want to thank you because you brought them here and they was able to learn. We thank you for actually giving us life to even be here in the first place. Father Lord, we thank you because without you, none of this would have been possible. Thank you because you all things are possible. We thank you because with you everything we meant to do we shall perfectly impact it and supersonically impact it in our lives in Jesus' name. Father Lord, thank you so much and we pray that everything we learn today shall not be vain. We shall put it true in our lives. We shall tell others about it and then at the end, glory of the glorious in Jesus' name.
The online participants said we didn't give them a round of applause.
A round of applause.
Do comment. I just remember. Yeah, things about putting volunteer. I think it's not out of place. You can put some of the things you do under volunteering. It is quite appreciable because they will look at you were a student, you said you worked there and there and there. What time, when, and all of that. So there's a way you can trust it without putting it as a volunteer. But if you put it as volunteer, you are actually respected for doing that. Thank you very much, and do have a pleasant evening.